Hello, everyone, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the Outback Al.
I'm hot for justice.
I'm Chibi Noob.
And I'm NV Jitters.
And, guys, it's the end of Madoka.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we happy, depressed? How are we feeling right now?
Yes.
Little bit of both? Yes?
Yes.
It's bittersweet.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Uh...
I will say this, though. Rewatching these 4 episodes again, I think it was honestly these 4 episodes that really made me fall in love with the show. Like, the first 8 episodes I thought were really damn good. But, like, these 4 episodes really made the show stick out to me a lot more.
Yep.
And push it over the top for me.
I feel like that happens with, like, a lot of shows, where you can have, like, a very, like, decent show, very solid show, for the most part, but then you get to the ending and it either soars or it fails. And this one soars. I've seen a lot of shows where it's like I enjoyed it going up into the finale and it was good, like Madoka, not necessarily genre or theme wise, but just in quality, and then they kind of drop the ball at the end and I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna watch you again. But like Madoka, not that problem at all. We should talk about what happened. Where did we leave off? Sayaka just turned into a witch, and then the revelation of magical girls turning into witches is revealed to the characters. We already knew from last week, but, you know, now they know, and that's a kick in the nads. So they're dealing with that, and the fact that their friend is, well, I don't know if the appropriate word is dead, but, you know, a monster bent on killing people. So, you know, not a great situation that they're in. Kyoko kind of comes around a little bit more. I think she's finding a little more camaraderie with people now that she realizes that not only is she a walking corpse, but also that she has the potential to become a giant monster that she's been fighting her entire career. So, puts a lot of things into perspective for you. Anyway, she recruits Madoka to try to save Sayaka. However, they think they might be able to do it. They want to try to somehow get the witch to like turn back into a soul gem, maybe through the power of friendship or through ripping it open, or they don't really know. But Homura is like, that's a bad idea and you're gonna die. And QB's like, that's a bad idea and you're gonna die. But Kyoko, being Kyoko, decides, you know what, we're going to do it anyway. And Madoka's just like, I got no other options here. So they go in. It goes about as well as you expect. Sayaka's a giant, very powerful witch with a musical motif. I wonder why. And then everything goes down. Kyoko tries to do her fighting the witch thing. Madoka tries to do her, hey, we're friends, come back to normal thing. Homura shows up to get Madoka out of there while Kyoko stays behind and sacrifices herself to destroy Sayaka. Everything sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we get to hear why this is all happening. Good old episode 10. Episode 10, where we get the Homura flashback. You know, it's kind of a common thing, I feel like, to have a flashback thing where you, like, for Generabuchi anyway, you always have, like, that character who's, like, you don't know a lot about them, but they're cool, or they're aloof, or they're something, and then you find out their super tragic backstory and why they are the way they are.
Yep. Happened in Fate Zero.
Oh, I love that one. That was a really good flashback origin. But this one is also, you know, top-notch. So we find out that Homura was not always the Homura that we know and love? Respect? Are interested in. Let's go with that. She used to be some nerd who couldn't do anything right and had like a heart condition, so she was like in the hospital all the time, and now she's going back to school and she meets Madoka and she's like, hey Madoka, you're so cool and I'm so lame, and Madoka's like, hey, believe in yourself. And you know, she still sucks. But then she meets Madoka when she's a magical girl, and Madoka saves her from a witch, and she's like, wow, I want to be just like you. And I'm like, I buy that. Anyway, the things that normally happen, And Mammy and Madoka die fighting Volpurgisnacht. And yeah, QB's like, you could do something about this because that's what a QB do. And Homura makes the wish to go back so she can save Madoka. And now she has the ability to travel back in time, and the whole episode is Groundhog Day. She is just reliving the same month over and over and over again, trying to figure out what to do to save Madoka from 1, dying, 2, turning into a witch, 3, turning into a magical girl in general, and 4, try to get the stupid, giant, evil, unbeatable witch destroyed so that hopefully it fixes the other 3. It doesn't go well. It never goes well. In some cases, it goes really, really bad.
Yep.
And yeah, by the end, we have a very jaded Homura, who we meet at the beginning of the series. And
I
it's
wouldn't
just
even
kinda...
say she's. I wouldn't even say she's jaded. I would say she's deeply traumatized.
You're right. The jaded is wrong. Jaded kind of implies that you don't actually care. She cares so much that she is, like, removing herself almost from the thing that she cares about.
She's depressed.
Oh, everyone's depressed right now. I guarantee it. They are. Homura is. Madoka is. Mammy got real bad. The audience is. Everybody is having a bad time today. And today. And today. And today. Because it just keeps happening over and over and over again. Like Sisyphus. Mm-hmm. Actually, I feel like there's a number of different allusions you can make to Homura's cyclical situation.
The definition
we'll
of
get into that later.
Doing
the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, or is that practice?
It is practice.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's like I do like that quote, but at the same time, it's like, well, what is practice then? You do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping to get a different result. I'm being an ass. So yeah, we get that backstory bit. Now it's time for the big deal. The whole reason that this is all happening. And the Walpurgisnacht is on its way. And QB spills the beans on why Madoka's so special. Because Homura done fucked up. You keep going back in time. You keep bringing karmic destiny and all this other sort of stuff aligned right on top of Madoka. Guess what? You've lined up fate. Every fate from every universe that you travel to on this one person. Of course they're going to be the biggest magical girl of all time. And as a result, the biggest witch of all time. Good on ya. And, yeah, of course, she never would have known that. She never could have predicted that. But QB's still kind of... I feel like QB's just, like... they say they don't have emotions, but that felt like a very vindictive, I'm going to pour salt in your open wound kind of deal. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think QB might be a little bit petty. Anywho, we get he then goes and talks to Madoka because he already depressed one girl enough today. Why not go for a twofer? So he tells her all about how humanity only got as far as it did because of the sacrifice of magical girls, and how the lives of the many are better than the lives of the few, and all that sort of stuff. You'd all be living in caves if it wasn't for us, and it's what's the big deal? A couple people suffer, sure, but benefits are good for everybody. You guys are like cattle, but not like cattle. You're better than cattle, but still like cattle.
You're a resource.
Yeah, you guys are resources. You're like batteries, but like in an actual smart sense, not like what they were talking about in the Matrix. And everyone else is kind of dealing with the fact that Sayaka's dead. And they found the body. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so things are not happy anywhere. And even Madoka's parents, who are, let's be honest here, great parents. Even they're kind of going like, I don't know how to talk to my kids. I feel like they're lying to me, but they're not lying to me, and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm like, God damn. Everybody here is just like clinically depressed. Like, what did it take? A month for everybody's life to go to shit.
Yep.
And yeah, so by the way, Walpurgisnacht is here, and since no one else can see it, everyone thinks it's a hurricane or something. So everyone's going to the shelters and whatnot, but Homer's going out to fight because she's the last person. She's the only thing left between that thing and killing thousands of people, including the one person she actually cares about. So she's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to leave it all on the field. And QB's like, all right. And Madoka's like, oh, I got to go help her because she needs it. And she figures out what she wants to wish for finally. And then we get to see her show up right as Homura is about to fall into despair because she cannot beat this witch. Madoka shows up and makes her wish to remove all the curses in that, to stop witches from ever being created. She wants to be the magical girl who prevents the suffering of other magical girls. And QB's like, holy shit, you want to be God. I don't know why he grants the wish at that point, but he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's almost like a genie or a fairy godparent.
Yeah.
You have to answer.
I hear that. At the same time, I never knew that like QB was obligated to grant anything. They never really like specified. They always specified like you can ask for whatever you want. He never said that he had to grant it, which really makes me wonder a little bit about some of it.
I think the purpose of that was that he knew that if she made a wish this big, like, again, as he says, like, towards the end of episode 12, the soul gem that her wish generated was enormous.
True.
Like, it's literally a freaking comet.
True. And yet at the same time, he is also aware that it will rewrite the fabric of reality, time and space, and all that sort of stuff. He didn't factor in that, maybe all the things that I have put into place will not be in place as a result of this. It just seems like an extreme lack of foresight for someone who seems to have so much foresight despite not being a time traveler.
I think he was just kind of, like, hoping that the curse it also would generate from that wish would be enough to, like, get rid of all entropy, I guess? I don't know. It's just... The thing is because Madoka has so much hope that, like, she can literally destroy despair itself. So...
A little paradoxical later, but okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is, but she...
It's
literally
magic.
It's a quote from her.
Yeah.
She's like, as long as there's always hope, like, I will continue fighting.
Yep. Yeah. She becomes so powerful, she destroys her own witch later. Mm-hmm. But if she destroyed her own witch before it could ever be a witch, could it have been said to have happened? We also get into a lot of metaphysical commentary here because Madoka essentially becomes a concept of hope, and it becomes ingrained in the fabric of reality, woven into it in a way, so that no one remembers her anymore because, well, she never really existed, and yet she exists everywhere, in all things, and at all times. It gets very metaphysical.
I mean... Obviously, Homura still remembers her because I guess, she went out. But then her little brother at the very end says, oh, Madoka, Madoka. And, and his parents are probably thinking, oh, it's just an imaginary friend. And I guess part of her still stuck around.
Yeah, well, I mean, she is still there. She's just not there in any way that anyone can see her or feel her. Well, maybe feel her, but not interact with her. I guess everybody gets to meet her when they die. Well, magical girls anyway. But, yeah, so... Homer doesn't take it super well, but she's living with it, and living in this new world where there are no witches, because magical girls, disappear, and, don't turn into witches, so they have to fight wraiths now, and curses, and all sorts of other stuff, because, of course, you can't get rid of the system completely, otherwise we wouldn't have a show anymore. But, yeah. But she talks to QB about all this because, well, I guess he's not turning people into witches anymore, I guess he's okay. I always found that weird. I mean, granted, I guess this version of QB never really fucked anybody over super hard. Mm-hmm. And yet at the same time, I'm like, you know what, Homura, I really feel like you should have so much bad blood towards these things. Like, you really shouldn't be talking to them anyway.
Yeah. The thing
I'd
is...
still be pissed.
Yeah, I would still be pissed too. I think the thing though with this one is that I think once Homura describes that law system of a
Mm-hmm.
universe to QB, he's like,
You done fucked up. You done fucked
yeah,
up.
which is why we have rebellion.
Oh yeah. You done fucked up. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen Rebellion. Did they even? I know the. I mean, I remember the basic, plot and twist of that movie. But did they even fight wraiths in that movie, or did they fight something different?
They did not, because the entire movie took place inside Homura's labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I just couldn't remember, like, if they did it at the very end or something like that.
So the thing with that is like it was mentioned the race at one point in the movie, but then Homer was like, "Wait, wraiths? What? We're fighting nightmares here. What's going on?" So,
because she's living the Truman Show a little bit. Yeah. We might be able to revisit that one eventually. It was really just you and me talking about that day.
yeah.
But maybe in 8 years when the new movie comes out, we'll revisit Rebellion. Any new word on? You know what? Don't tell me any new word on that.
I honestly haven't seen anything.
I don't think we would. It's only been a week.
Yeah. Although I'm still really, really excited that it's actually finally happening.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I already have an idea. If they had never made a movie, I already have an idea of what I would want to do at the end of Rebellion. But, I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So we should talk about, the actual, meat and potatoes of this. We talked about the plot a little bit, but, what's... I mean, Envy, you were kind of talking about it a little bit. These 4 episodes really, they take everything the show built and then just, hit it into overdrive. With, not just, the turning of the witches and stuff like that, but, I think a lot of this is all kind of, held together solely by episode 10. Because, I mean, it adds so much meaning to everything that was happening before.
It explains why Homura was always was so detached while at the same time trying to worry about Madoka, and you find out why too.
Yeah.
And then even with episode 9, obviously Kyoko had a massive, character 180. She went from literally trying to kill Sayaka when she first met her to sacrificing herself to basically take her down and put her out of her misery. And obviously a lot of people shipped them after that, but it was a nice moment that was it was obviously very sad, but it was also very poignant as well.
It's astounding what an existential crisis will do to you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what to go into. Is there anything you guys want to touch on specifically?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, I wanted to talk about, because I mentioned last time, when we were talking about characters and, why I didn't really care for Mommy, was because of one of the timelines where Mommy shot Kyoko.
And I kind of figured that was what it was.
Yeah, I think we all
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what the hell? You just killed her, and then Madoka shoots Mommy and kills Mommy, and it was just that whole scene is especially damn, very depressing, and everyone's falling into despair and doesn't know what to do. But yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't like Mommy, but I just wanted to talk about that part where they're all we will kill each other because we're gonna turn into witches if otherwise, so Yeah, that was just ouch. Like, I know that's why, like, Mommy did it, because she was like, you know, we're just all gonna turn like Sayaka did anyway, so what's the point in living anymore? And that's just like, that's real rough. Like, damn.
Yeah. I kind of brought up last time that I had like a theme kind of philosophy thing that I wanted to bring up that's much more important, especially with what you're talking about and in these episodes. It's there in the others, but like I think these episodes kind of brought it home. Like I don't know like what you guys actually know about Gen Ribuchi, but he is a nihilist. And
I kind of figured.
yeah, you can see it in his work a little bit, but like I feel like every character, at least with our main cast of magical girls, kind of exhibits like different like reactions to nihilism, and especially like existential nihilism. And I want to preface this by saying I am not a philosophy major, and for the most part, I might be talking completely out of my ass, but essentially they're faced with the idea of the meaninglessness of existence, and that you're essentially just going to suffer your entire life and then there will be nothing afterwards. And people have different reactions to that. You have people like Mammy who essentially said, if all we're going to do is suffer, why suffer? Let's just end it. And they opt out of all of it. You have people like... I had thought about this a lot, and I'm losing my words a little bit. You have people like Kyoko who are kind of like, okay, if this is all I have, I will pull whatever enjoyment I can out of it and live however I can live, because this is all I get, and I will at least have that if I'm going to have nothing else. Which is kind of, I think, again, I haven't read a whole lot of Nietzsche, but I think that was sort of like the pedestrian kind of way about being a nihilist. And then you have like the other three, Sayaka, Homura, and Madoka, who decide to sort of create their own meaning, which is, you know, depending on how exactly you go about it, is how, like, Nietzsche's like, yeah, that's how you become the Ubermensch, you become the Superman, you transcend this whole meaninglessness by creating your own meaning. Sayaka tries to create meaning sort of like through self-sacrifice a little bit. If I'm going to suffer, I will suffer. I will take the suffering. I will enjoy the suffering. If suffering is all I'm going to have, I will take the suffering, and I will try to have meaning from that suffering. If it means like, oh, some other people can be happy, then I will suffer and make it so that maybe they won't suffer as much. You know, yeah. Then there's like the whole idea of like, but that's sort of like sort of a broad kind of thing, versus Homura's idea of it is a little more narrow. I am going to live for this one person, and for this like one thing, and, you know, everybody else be damned, but I will make sure that this person doesn't suffer, and I will suffer for that, or whatever else. But then you have Madoka, who I think, and again, might be completely talking out of my ass, but I think this is kind of what Nietzsche would have said is the Ubermensch, the Superman, the person who goes beyond it all, who said like, I will find meaning in leaving the world better than I found it. And it's a very macro idea. It's not like I'm going to live for one person to make them happy. It's like, I'm going to try to make things better for everyone by doing something that will hopefully help everyone. And she does that by doing her thing with the whole, I'm gonna remove people's suffering. Let's get rid of this. And to some degree, by becoming God, kind of destroys nihilism in a way, because now there is a higher purpose or a higher being and whatnot. So yeah, they created hope from despair. Everyone else was reacting to despair and being like, this is the way it is, we have to live with it, but we will find a way to live with it. And Madoka was like, no, I will find meaning, and even if I have to create the meaning, and if you want it as well, you can have it, and it'll be there, and we can all live with that, or get better as a result of that. So I mean, that was at least my interpretation.
I mean, that's definitely a lot to think about. I mean, I always
Dude,
thought of it
I've
as
told you that like I watched this series twice all the way through. I've seen each individual episode at least 9 times, so I've thought about this for a lot.
I always just, I mean, obviously, that's a very, very deep and profound way to look at it. I always thought of as like all the characters, at least all the human characters, they slowly and slowly lost their hope throughout the show. Obviously, Mammy lost her hope because, she was all alone. Same thing with Kyoko, and then obviously Sayaka gradually lost her insanity. And then I think Madoka was like, you were talking about how Gen Urabuchi's like a nihilist, and nihilists don't believe in, the good in life. They just believe that life is suffering. So
Well, I don't know they don't believe that there is good. I think they essentially mean that ultimately there is no higher purpose to any of it.
Well,
like,
I think
it's
kind of funny then how
whatever else, but like you have to find
it's kind of funny then.
Ways.
I mean, it's kind of funny then how he would create a main character like Madoka that is not only, like you said, transforms into a higher purpose, but also is hope. Like, she still wants to have hope for everybody. She still wants to have a sense of a hope to give to everybody, even when things look down. She never wants to get into a fight. She always tries to help people out any way she can. And obviously, that's still naive of her at times, but I think in the end, she used that hope to better everything at the end, or at least, in the way that she thought best. So,
yeah, I mean, I think like that's still kind of like in that. I don't know that it's essentially unnihilistic though, because again, the idea that you mentioned is like kind of move beyond the fact that there is no meaning, create a meaning, and if it helps other people, you can help other people, you can make the world a better place. You can leave a lasting impression on the world and meaning through living your life either to the fullest extent that you could and doing everything that you could towards, I guess, whatever you felt gave you meaning. And to some degree that could inspire people, maybe inspiration. Kind of like what Madoka did. She does it in a lot more of a, less conceptual way, seeing as she's actually saving people's souls from, not damnation, but like destruction and all that other sort of stuff. But essentially it's the same thing of like, I will help, like the just like the image of the inspiration or whatever of the individual game before might inspire you to have meaning or to find meaning or something. I don't know. Again, might be completely talking out of my ass. But we're like not even 30 minutes in. We had to go into the heavy stuff right away.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the show.
Yeah, you can't really like get into it without it.
I mean, I also kind of always sort of interpreted Madoka's like wish kind of like a lot of like her wanting to save like all magical girls and like save them from suffering and like making sure that like the existence of magical girls is a happy one until it turns to despair, but even at that, like they're not causing other people suffering. I also always like interpreted it as a big fuck you to Kyubey.
It definitely is. 100%.
Because she's just like, she's like, you told me I could do this, and now I'm taking away the one thing that you want.
Yeah. It's a nice little middle finger as you're walking out the door. I mean, I don't know that QB's that bummed about it. He doesn't remember it now, so it doesn't really matter. So she's really just giving the finger to QBs of the past.
He doesn't, but then because QB now has this new information via Homura because she's an idiot, now he's like, maybe I can tweak the system a little bit and see.
You just had to say shit.
If I can do a workaround and get something even better out of this.
Could have kept it to yourself, but you didn't. I mean, actually, like, Homer at the end, that kind of, like, goes back to the whole leaving the world a better place, like, inspiring people. Like, Homer still doesn't think the world is good or worth saving or that people actually matter to her that much. But it was a world that Madoka cared about, and she wants to protect it, like Madoka does. So I wouldn't say it's the purest of intentions when you're finding meaning, but it did give her meaning when, quite frankly,
No.
she was out of it.
Yeah, definitely not. And it also doesn't coincide with the ending of Rebellion and her whole ending for that. Because
Yeah,
she
it's a
basically
whole
destroyed
thing.
Madoka's wish. In which case I'm like, well, you just fucked it over.
It was just
In a
one of
way,
those things where it's like
yes. In a way,
personal
no.
feelings of what you want outweighed what your person you loved wanted. It's like, I understand you, Madoka, but I want you with me. I miss you that much. So,
No, it's still very self-destructive, and honestly,
oh
that's
yeah, I'm not saying
unhealthy.
it's. Oh yeah, I
It's
know
like
it's completely unhealthy. Like I've seen videos on. Well, I haven't watched them, but I've seen videos on the internet where people are dissecting Homer and it's like, yeah, she maybe wasn't the best person after all, but that's what makes her interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the ending to Life is Strange.
Ooh, yeah.
Did not
Oh
play
yeah,
that
the
yet.
one route where it save the bay or save the bay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds intense. We might have
That's
to play that.
It's a
Yeah.
good game.
But it kind of reminds me of that. Like, you can be selfish, or you could, save. I don't want to give too many spoilers away because Al hasn't played it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally just spoiled it, so
Yeah.
I don't know what
Yeah,
Bay and Bay
true.
means, so whatever. Just don't say any more, because I do have to edit this as well. I can't take off my headphones.
okay.
But yeah.
I should feel this is actually making me think maybe I should finish BoJack Horseman. I did not see the last season yet, because I think it was on my watch list and then COVID happened. I'm like, well, I don't need depressing thoughts now, so I've been kind of putting it off. But I should probably finish that at some point. I'm just thinking what?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I'm trying to think of what to talk to while I'm thinking about this whole thing. I'm just kind of I'm marinating still a little bit after rewatching everything all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I first watched this in club. I remember years ago, I thought, when the finale happened, their Homura is saying goodbye to at least that version of Madoka before she becomes a entity. And I remember back then I was like, why are they naked? And then 8 years later, I'm like, why are they naked?
I thought about that too, because I was kind of when I get to the scene in the abridged series, am I going to have to censor this? But I think part of that, and they kind of hit on these motifs a little bit, especially episode 11 in that. Madoka's mom and the teacher, who are friends, were drinking at that bar, and I first off, I love the lighting and the colors in that scene, because it's teacher sitting in red light with a blue drink, and the mom in blue light with the red drink, and it's just it again. I don't. We've said this so much before. The art and just design of this show is fantastic, but they're sitting in front of a mural of, I forget who painted it, but it's the moment of creation with God reaching out to Adam, and in some ways you could argue that literally it happens next episode.
Yeah.
Homura and Madoka are just there, and essentially they're at the start of the universe.
Yeah.
Or the start of this universe, or wherever they are, or in the midst of it as it's being created, or in its I don't know. It's a super conceptual. I don't know, but yeah, they're both essentially naked. God reaches out to Homer and be like, "Hey, it's okay. Time for you to live." That's at least my interpretation, but
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I almost kind of want to see a mini series, like just some short OVAs of like what all the magical girls of history were doing.
I mean, you can at least see, or you can read it in the mangas because they have like several that are about different magical girls. Some from modern times. They have one in particular that is, at least I think it has 5 volumes right now. It's about Joan of Arc.
I'd read that.
Yeah.
I'd check out Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Some of the other people in there. That's cool.
Yeah, I would like the thing is like I've had my eye on the manga for that for a while, and I'm kind of like debating getting it, but I'm just like,
what were witches like in ancient Egypt times?
That would be interesting. I would really like to read that.
Well, like Cube said, like the wishes the magical girls did, at least in that universe, helped, evolve humankind and technology. So, okay, so like do a revisionist history. What happened? What was wished so that technology and society could evolve? That'd be pretty interesting to see.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I'd read it. I'd watch it. Check it out. Maybe after Magia Record. Who knows? I don't know how long Magia Record will go on. Is the game still going? I thought I heard something about like it had shut down.
So the game's still going in Japan, but it's shut down here in the US.
And it's weird because during the Madoka event where they announced the new movie, they also announced a side story to Magia Record, at least the game, and it had Madoka and pre-Time Crisis Homura, where she's kind of, the shy and timid one. So I'm like, what are you going to do now?
I mean...
Well, I guess we'll never know. We speak English.
I mean, I think anyone outside of Japan's probably not going to have access to that.
Did it just not do well over here, or...?
I'm not sure. I think, like, the thing is like, there are a lot of servers to run a game like that. So I'm just not sure if there just weren't, like, a lot of servers here to, like, run the game, or if there just wasn't enough people logging in.
I have people logging in. It wouldn't justify the servers.
I have a very cynical reason. I think maybe it didn't do well microtransaction-wise overseas, and that's why they cut it. Because let's be honest, that's what those smartphone games are all about. Microtransactions.
There's so many over here, though, that do really well, though.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't think that's, like, a pure disqualifier.
That is.
Well, I'm saying, like, maybe
true.
this game didn't do well microtransaction-wise over here. That's why they cut the servers.
Oh.
I
mean, that just sounds like it just didn't do well in general.
I mean, the only things you could really buy with those were, like, the characters. So it probably, like, really all depended because it was such, like, a randomized system. Especially if you were, like, doing it for an event. Because I did play a little bit of the game, but not a whole lot. So it's... I also don't really think that, like, in the little bit that I played that they gave out enough, like, of those gems to buy all the cards so you could get new characters right away.
Yeah, not nearly enough.
No.
I mean, that's how they get you in the wallet, sure. But, like, yeah, maybe they just didn't have the right ratio of, like, carrot to stick or whatever. And, yeah, people might have dropped off a lot faster.
The only reason why I say that is... Oh, go ahead.
No, like, that's kind of, like, the only thing is, like, the little bit that I did play of it, like, you got some free stuff, like, sort of towards the beginning, but, like, I don't really thought I got enough from, like, the missions that I would do to, like, give me enough that I could get more characters and, like, maybe put in a little bit of my own pocket money to, have some more to round up so I could get more gems. But anyway.
Yeah.
The only reason why I say
balance.
that is because, like, there's other, mobile games that, like, do bankers over here based on anime properties, like Fate Grand Order. That game makes billions of dollars a year, so it's just these unfortunate business of it all.
I mean, they might have... Their gacha system might be a little more, like, you might be able to get more pulls for stuff. and whatnot. I also don't know, like, maybe the story just didn't interest people as much for Magia Record. It's hard. I didn't play it, so it's hard to say. But I don't know. Part of me is also like, Fate. Good God, they have such a high roster of characters you could probably pull from. Like, Magia Record might just not have had enough characters out the gate.
I mean, I'm not so sure about that. I just know, like, I don't think Magia Record really got going from the get-go. Could have also been part of the problem. I mean, I don't know. Gav, I feel like you played a little bit more of it than I did.
No, I don't think so.
Like, I barely got through chapter 1. I will say that much.
Yeah, I feel like I got through a little bit of it, but I didn't finish it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the people are just kind of sleeping on it. I don't really know if there's a reason for it. Just, yeah.
Well, we can't really sleep on it now. It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's
like...
okay. We'll figure out what happens in Magia Record, the show.
Well, even the anime, I feel like people are, like, kind of sleeping on it.
Yeah, it didn't get nearly as good reviews as the original show. And to be fair, I didn't even think... I mean, obviously we'll see what happens in part 2, but, like, personally, I think the show was a little confusing at times to follow, unless you were paying, like, up close enough detail to everything, and I didn't think the characters, minus what was her name? Not Homura.
Which color?
Blue Homura?
Yeah, Blue Homura,
Blue
whatever.
Homura Mammy person?
Yeah, what was her name?
God, we had names for everybody. Like, made-up names. I'm gonna have to go back and find out what they were.
I thought she was the only
maybe
interesting
like...
character in the show, to be completely honest, so maybe, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but maybe that's why it didn't take off. I mean, again, maybe part 2 will solve everything. Maybe part 2 will make the show great.
Yachi.
I didn't think it was bad, but I can kind of see what you're saying. I know we were definitely watching it like with a very close eye because we were like trying to theorize like everything that was going on in it.
Yeah.
But we have investment for a reason.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's more just the fact that, like, you don't have a core group of characters. You kept getting fed more characters.
Yeah.
True. It was a little more of like an introduction to a whole bunch of people as opposed to like a development of a bunch of people.
Which kind of makes sense given the kind of game that it was, because like you are literally getting these characters as like you are either buying the cards or you're running into these people like as you're progressing through the story. But at the same time, it's kind of like I kind of want to get my core group of people within the first few episodes, and then I want to learn to love them. I don't want to keep getting introduced to people and then being like, okay,
bye.
Here's someone new.
I mean, that's what made the original show so great. In all honesty, there was only 5 main characters in the whole show: Madoka, Sayaka, Homura, Kyoko, and Mami, and each of them had their own development and each time to get to know them, and you cared about them at the end.
If I'm going to be real, I don't even know that Mami and Kyoko are really main characters.
No.
They're there for such a short amount of time. They're almost just supporting cast.
Yeah, I would even say
Kyoko's
that,
more
like,
important than Mami, I would say that.
To some degree,
yeah.
but even then, I genuinely think the only 2 real main characters are Madoka and Homura.
Very true. Mostly because it is their story.
Yeah.
So...
Like, it's interesting that it's really, this is all Homura's story. We just didn't realize it until much later in the series.
Yeah.
Like, this whole... It's almost like the whole show is told from the perspective of a side character of the main story, and the real protagonist is a side character in their story. Mm-hmm. You know, until the very end when it's all... Actually, that kind of reminds me of, like, did you guys ever watch Darker Than Black?
No.
Mm-mm.
It was a show, came out, like, in 2007. had like a bunch of people with like superpowers, so of course I was going to be into it a little bit. Like the main character, I think some people have described him as Chinese Electric Batman, because he dresses up like Batman, has grappling hooks and a whole bunch of other stuff, but he can also electrocute people, so, you know, that's something. But the majority of the episodes, unless it's actually finally focusing on him, he is like a background supporting character. And like every single episode is following someone else as they're like dealing with whatever they're dealing with these like superpowered beings or whatever else. And like you see him and you're like, I know who you are, I know what's going on, but they don't, and it's just some dude. And then by the end, he jumps into action, pulls his Batman stuff, and you finally pull focus of the character you care about, and it's like, and like Homura's whole show like this is kind of like that. Like, the whole time we're, like, in the beginning of the show, you're like, we don't know you. You just seem to be, like, not an antagonist, but, like, definitely a semi-antagonistic individual who we might have to fight at some point or do whatever. But then, like, you eventually realize, like, this is your show. You're the real main character. So. Not a lot of shows do that, I don't think. So that's, gotta give them points for that.
I was also thinking this week too. This is kind of off topic, but like I was, thinking about the the whole premise of the show, and 2011 had two anime that that involved people repeatedly going back in time, trying to save the person that they care about from dying.
I never noticed. I certainly didn't put a character in our Abridged series that shows up in every single episode in regard to that.
Yeah.
Both of which ended up being really good shows. Like, I don't want to say time travel stories are rare or are rarely good, but like a really good one, I feel like is rare.
Yeah.
And you had two in the same year.
So the thing with time travel is usually you will have a time travel episode, not an entire show that consists around it. And the thing with time travel is, like, it needs, like you said, it really needs to be executed well in order for it to, like, really shine.
Yeah. Like, I know there's definitely been a bunch of time travel movies, but, like, what are the ones that stick out? Back to the Future, Terminator, Groundhog Day. Probably some other ones in there, but, like, for the most part, those are the ones people always go back to because they are just done really well. Actually, Terminator... No, it's done well. I'm not saying it's not done well, but it's like the time travel is not always the biggest part of those movies. But,
time travel is one of those... they always say
yeah.
Time travel is one of the most difficult things to write because if you think about it too hard or you mess it up too much, you leave so many plot holes or contradictions or stuff like that. So,
yep. I don't know. I feel like they did a really good job on this one. I didn't really find any like holes or anything. And like I think we mentioned this like an episode or so ago. Like this is a really interesting one to rewatch and like re-look at everything from the lens of knowing everything. You're kind of coming back and doing it like Homura. So yeah, that's a hell of a show.
yep.
Oh, we should talk about like that thing at the end, like the post-credits thing with her in the desert, which I guess the city is surrounded by a desert or something, or she's just out in the desert for some reason fighting those wraiths, and she gets like wings made of witch energy.
Yeah.
I know they were definitely just like, I know it was like one of those endings where it's like it didn't really end, and that was kind of what they were going for. But like, what an interesting like a magical girl harnessing cursed energy or something. And like utilizing it.
Oh no, she's a jujutsu sorcerer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say and I think it is foreshadowing for Rebellion.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it was like, kind of a different thing in nihilism, just embracing it and enjoying the suffering.
Yeah,
almost.
Because I think it is in her suffering that she continues to, like, work towards making Madoka's world a better place.
So yeah, now it's almost like, yeah, to some degree, Homer is like, yeah, everyone uses hope. I'm going to use despair as my power source.
Oh
almost.
God, she's the Junko of Madoka Magica.
Well, I mean, of course
I don't get that reference. Junko's the teacher. What are you talking about?
I mean, of course, like, she turns to suffering. She can never be with the one person she wants to be with. Like, her entire raison d'etre is now gone.
Well, I thought to some degree the raison d'etre is now protect the world that the person I loved.
It's not enough.
But, yeah, no, it definitely is not. No, it is still a very cool image, and like the idea of like attacking a monster with monster powers. Always an interesting thing. Do we need to rewatch Rebellion sooner? I don't know.
I mean, we can watch whatever else we have planned down the pipeline first.
Yeah, no, we should. We have other plans already. I don't know, do we have any, should we go into that, or do we have any other, like, things to talk about in this episode? I almost felt like this was going to be, like, a really long episode, but I guess we got out most of what we wanted to say or something. Unless I'm wrong.
Well, the thing is like, these episodes are probably more for us to talk about, like, deep stuff rather than to, like, really gush. Because, I mean, we could really gush, but at the same time, these episodes are very heavy. So...
I feel like, to some degree, we definitely gushed in the first one.
We
because
did.
we were kind of going over everything, like the character setups and stuff, and the art, and the music, and everything. And they're all still here. Like, at no point did this ever have a dip in quality.
Right.
So, yeah. Any final thoughts about this?
I love it.
Well, I mean, I think that goes almost without saying.
Yeah, we just gotta wait.
think-
We just gotta wait. How many more years until the new movie comes out?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably whenever my next episode of the Abridged comes out.
I mean, the good thing is that everybody that was on the original show is coming back. Like, it's being written by the same people. It's written.
That is solid.
It's
yeah.
written. It's directed by the same people. At least the Japanese cast is coming back. So I imagine the English cast will redub their roles.
Yeah.
And then Yuki Kojira's doing the music. So like, yeah, it's like Kronk. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
It's all come together. No, it's good. I'm happy about that. I'm trying to think. I thought I had one more thing to say. Did I have one more thing to say?
About Madoka?
Might have been.
No, but I thought of something. I just wanted to, like, it's not necessarily about the anime, but it's just like a fun little thing. You guys already know. My dad walked in the room when Kyubey was saying Madoka Kaname, and he thought that Kyubey said Matthew McConaughey.
And then I messaged you back. Well, if you can, sign a contract with me, that'd be all right.
Hey, man. You got a contract? You got a soul gem? No. Be a lot cooler if you did.
QB goes back to the other incubators and the incubator planet. You only got 5 people to sign a contract. Them rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up, man.
Oh, I just had another thought.
Yes.
Oh, just the fact that, like, and I feel like we have discussed this before, where Kyubey, or at least the hive mind Kyubey species, incubator species, I guess, says that, like, if you have emotions, you have a mental disorder.
Yeah, what the hell?
So
Wait,
my
say
whole
it
thing
again?
is
Everything's relative.
everything is relative. Okay, so Kyubey, in the episode where he's talking to Madoka about, like, having emotions and, like, why they make magical girls and stuff, he's like, oh, having that sort of, like, emotions is basically what we call a mental disorder. Like, so the thing is like, it is they are capable of emotion, but it is viewed as something very negative.
Probably because it's, like, so rare for them as well.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to some degree, you could kind of say they're like Vulcans from Star Trek.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, the whole society is based on, like, logic and, like, it's not about emotions. Emotions shouldn't have a place in whatever we're talking about or what we're doing.
I mean...
So, yeah, to some degree,
unless you're fighting for
like, why?
a mate, in which case they get angry and violent.
I think everyone's allowed to, well, depending on the situation, maybe not. But I would hope that you have some level of emotion when you're trying to get a mate. But to our understanding, I don't know that incubators mate.
I mean, I think they're just kind of asexually reproduce? Does that make sense?
I mean, the fact that they're a hive mind makes me think that maybe there's, like, a queen or something that just kind of spews them out. But I do remember, like, seeing, like, I don't think we have any official, like, anything of, like, where they come from or what they are biologically entirely.
Yeah.
But I do remember seeing, like, it was probably fan art or, like, a concept kind of thing of, like, it's not a human cat. It's an earth cat, and there's, like, essentially what it is this, like, little white blob with a mouth in the middle and 3, like, tendrils coming out of it. And essentially, it goes inside the body of the cat and takes it over like a parasite. And the QB's tail and long ear stalk things are the tendrils of the incubator parasite. And I think, like, supplementary material has said that, like, Madoka's first wish as a magical girl was to save that cat that was in the opening.
Yeah.
There's, like, it's, like, really dark, but they're like, that cat became QB.
No.
Or one of them.
No.
Yeah, it's like, if you want to have a bad time.
No.
Because, like, other than the weird coloration and the ear thing coming out, it's just a cat. Maybe because they're, like, horrible creatures to look at, they were like, yeah, let's inhabit something that people like.
I wonder if the movie will give them an origin story.
Aside
from what we already have.
Be cool.
I mean,
I'm almost wondering, because, like, it kind of be cool, but at the same time, it also kind of be like, you know what, maybe it's better left as a mystery, because, like, we're going to constantly be thinking about, like, what it is. Giving it a solid answer, would it actually be as satisfying as just the mystery of it?
I would still like to know.
I wonder.
Yeah, I heard, again, this is a rumor, but I heard that the movie might go into the origin of the magical girl that became Walpurgisnacht, the one that Homer fights at the end.
Another thing that interests me.
Cool.
Like, who made a thing that big?
Yeah.
Who's not Madoka?
Yeah.
Like, were you Madoka before Madoka? It's a big shoes to fill.
That'd be interesting.
Or to make. I don't know. How do you fill shoes if you're the predecessor? I guess that doesn't work.
Too complicated.
I mean...
But if we're bringing up Walpurgisnacht, that means we have either reset time for the Rebellion timeline, the post-Rebellion timeline, or we are going back in time to before everything happened, and Walpurgisnacht is back.
So, from what I gather from the little bit that they have given us, so, like, the promotional art is basically a shattered mirror image of Madoka with Homura's gloved hand reaching out and touching the glass. Obviously, because she's broken her Madoka into pieces. And then it's called Madoka Magica, and it's called, I want to say the translation is either the Tide of Valpurgis or Valpurgis's Heaven. So, either one is like an interpretation, but it's going to be focusing on that.
Cool.
So I kind of would like to see where that goes.
It is an interesting thought. You know, with Madoka not being God anymore, you don't have something to stop the witches. I mean, they're throwing all the curses on QB. Great comeuppance. But, yeah, without someone to prevent the actual witches from occurring, a giant witch could appear again.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
I mean, knowing Gen Orobuchi, he's probably gonna throw some massive twist in like Rebellion.
Well, I just had a thought. Because one of the translations is a tide, what if they all just come flooding back?
Yeah.
Like, all of the witches all just come back all at once.
Oof.
Yeah. Totally possible, with nothing keeping them at bay anymore.
Interesting. I guess we'll find out
Yeah.
when it comes out.
Yep, whenever we find out.
Whenever it's coming, we don't know.
It'll be cool. At the very least, we know the art's gonna be great. So. Well. I don't know. I think that about does it. Anyone got anything else to say about Madoka?
Nope. I'm good.
Alrighty. Wow. This was fun. So what are we doing next week? We should talk about that. So, those of you who don't know, next week will be our 100th episode of the numbered episodes that we have. There's a whole bunch of unnumbered movie review things that were going on simultaneously back in the day, so technically this isn't the 100th thing that we've done, but it's our 100th numbered episode, and that's the best we could do for like actually getting a important milestone. So, yeah. We thought we'd do something special. Different from the normal stuff. So we are all gonna pick our top 5 favorite shows and share them with you guys. So that, you get to know a little bit. We can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We might talk about things that we've already talked about on the show. Or we might talk about a whole bunch of stuff that we've never talked about on the show. Could be a number of different things. I know I'm still kind of finalizing mine a little bit. Where are you guys at? Haven't even started. Got ya.
I mean, you guys
Good to
already know all of my favorite things, so I don't...
Okay.
It's
I know-
just gonna
I
be
know-
me repeating myself.
I mean, I know numbers 1 through 4 on my list. I know I need to look through my anime list and try and find my 5th.
Yeah, I think I got most of mine. We're probably going to have some honorable mentions too, but
Oh, yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I
Oh,
got
I'm definitely
most
gonna have
of my
honorable
list down, just,
mentions.
like,
Are you
figuring
kidding
out,
me?
yeah.
I could do a top 20 if we wanted to, but obviously we won't. But I'm just saying that's how
doing-
much
Doing a top 5 is like the most I can do. Me trying to do a top 10 in no particular order, oh my god, no. I don't
Well, it's
even
in
think
no
I have
particular
that
order,
many
then
that
you're
I
just saying
like
what your
that
favorites
much.
Yeah.
I just don't know because it's been so long since I've watched the anime that I used to consider my favorite anime that it's like, how do I know if it's my favorite anymore? I don't know.
I mean, well, I'm going to probably go into why I was deciding on certain things, but, like, to some degree, I'm kind of going back and, like, even if I haven't watched it in a while, I'm kind of like, okay, did this have a big effect on me? There's, like, a number of them that I'm like, I rewatched this, like, so many times. There's a reason for it. And, like, even if I don't rewatch it, I'm still like, I think I know what a lot of those reasons are still. So, I've been thinking about it just a touch.
I mean, spoiler alert, I was the one who came up with this idea for this video, and I mainly did it because I wanted to hear what everyone else's tastes were.
I feel like they've had, like, top 5s and top 10s on YouTube for a very long time.
Well, for us at least.
Eh.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, come back next week if you want to hear what all of our favorites are, and maybe one day we'll do our least favorite. You know, I don't think I would have a least favorite. I just don't watch shows that I don't like.
Same.
I don't know why I would, like, have a least favorite list.
Yeah.
Anyway, come back for that and all sorts of more things. We're gonna have like a couple different things coming up in the next couple of weeks that are fun. I think interesting. Yeah, I'll figure out how to end an episode at some point. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!